Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take source material articles, research notes you've shared, and really pull out the key knowledge, the insights, giving you a shortcut to, well, to being truly informed. Today, we're diving into something nearly everyone connects with, right? Whether you went through it ages ago or you're watching someone face it right now, the first day in school. Our mission here is to unpack the science, the psychology, and just the human experience of this huge transition. We're drawing everything from the material you provided. So if you're a parent prepping for the school year, a teacher getting ready for a new class, maybe a student yourself, or just someone who remembers that feeling, that pit in your stomach, this deep dive is definitely for you. Okay, let's get into it. Why is the first day of school such a big deal? I mean, universally. Beyond the obvious nerves, is there like a scientific reason it feels so monumental?
Oh, absolutely. You have to think of it as a major life event, especially for young kids. The research we looked at shows that stepping into a totally new place, like a classroom, it actually triggers a response in the brain's amygdala.
The amygdala.
Right.
That's the fear and novelty center.
Exactly. It processes fear, unfamiliarity, and when that gets triggered, it signals the body to release cortisol.
Ah, the stress hormone. So it's not just feeling nervous in your head, it's a physical brain reaction happening.
Precisely. That apprehension, maybe that urge to kind of freeze up or cling, it has a biological root. It's your system reacting to the great unknown, essentially.
Okay. And it's clearly about way more than just, sitting down and learning letters, isn't it?
Oh, completely. The sources emphasize how multifaceted it is. It's not just cognitive learning like academics, it's navigating a whole new structure, different rules.
Right.
Managing being away from parents or caregivers and suddenly entering this really complex social scene with, tons of other kids and new adults. It's sensory, emotional, social, the whole package.
Okay, and this is where it gets really interesting. The material you sent over includes a case study. It really brings this alive.
Okay.
Let's imagine Lily, age 5, first day of kindergarten. Can you kind of paint that picture based on the research?
Yeah, let's picture it. Monday morning, maybe. Lily's got the new uniform on, maybe a backpack that seems almost as big as she is. Mom and Dad are there, trying to look cheerful, but you could probably see they're a bit nervous too. And they walk up to the school gate.
And that's often the moment, isn't it? The hard part.
That's it. This is where that intense separation anxiety, which the child development literature talks about so much, can really surface. Lily might suddenly grab her mom's leg, maybe tears start.
Yeah.
Experts in the sources describe this as completely normal attachment behavior.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not a sign of weakness or being difficult. It's a sign that a secure bond is being, challenged by this separation.
That's such an important way to frame it, attachment behavior. So, okay, for the parents standing right there at the gate, feeling that pull, what does the research say is the best way to handle that moment?
The absolute key takeaway from the sources is that calm, confident goodbye rituals work best.
Rituals.
Yeah. The biggest mistake, trying to sneak away. That just breaks trust.
Oh, definitely don't do that.
Yeah. No. Instead, it's about a clear, reassuring farewell. Something simple, direct. Like, I'll be back right after school to pick you up. You're going to have so much fun. Set the expectation. Offer a positive focus.
Okay, good advice. So the goodbye happens. Somehow Lily makes it through the gate into the classroom. What about the teacher? What's their role in easing this once the child is actually inside?
The teacher's role is absolutely critical, crucial in those first moments, those first days. And they use strategies grounded in developmental psychology.
Like what?
Well, greeting each child individually by name. That immediately makes this big, strange room feel a bit smaller, more personal, showing them exactly where to put their things, like their cubby or hook for their bag.
Gives them a little anchor point.
Exactly, a sense of place, and then introducing engaging, maybe familiar activities like story time or just letting them explore through play. That helps kids feel safe enough to sort of venture out and start connecting.
And is every child walking through that door equally ready for all this? The structure, the social stuff?
That's a really key point the research highlights, this idea of school readiness. It isn't just about knowing letters or numbers beforehand.
Right.
It includes emotional regulation. Can they handle feeling frustrated or excited without completely losing it? It includes basic language skills and, really importantly, social interaction skills. And it's widely accepted, based on the sources, that readiness varies hugely, child to child. It's perfectly normal for some kids to take, weeks, maybe even months, to fully adjust.
Yeah.
There isn't one set timeline.
Okay, let's pivot slightly to language. That's such a massive area of development at this age. How does this first day experience impact language and communication specifically?
Oh, it's like a language explosion. School is just a totally different linguistic world compared to home. Kids aren't just picking up new words.
No.
They're learning to really listen, to follow instructions, sometimes multi-step ones. And maybe most importantly, they're learning how to negotiate, how to communicate their needs and wants with peers, with adults outside their family unit. It's huge.
And the material even gives some great, really practical examples of the kinds of phrases kids pick up almost instantly because they just need them, right?
Exactly. Think about the absolute basics in a classroom setting. Can I play with you? That's essential. Where's the bathroom? Crucial information. And of course, the heartfelt one. I miss my mom. These aren't things you usually sit down and drill like vocabulary words. They're learned right there, in the moment, because they serve an immediate purpose.
That makes total sense. Okay, so stepping back a bit then, for parents or caregivers who are looking ahead to this, what are some practical science-backed tips from the sources for preparing a child before that first day even arrives?
Yeah, preparation is definitely key to lowering some of that initial anxiety we talked about, that cortisol response. The research points to several effective strategies.
Okay.
Visiting the school beforehand, even just playing on the playground. It makes the unfamiliar feel a little less daunting. Familiarity helps.
Right, demystifies it a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Then, practicing separation. Start small, short periods, leaving the child with a trusted grandparent or a friend. It builds their tolerance for that time away from, their main attachment figure.
Gradual exposure.
Talking about school positively is big too. Using storybooks about starting school, maybe even pretend play where they get to be the teacher or a student, helps build excitement and manage their expectations.
Like role-playing it.
Yeah, and establishing consistent morning routines in the weeks leading up helps too. Predictability is really comforting for kids, builds confidence.
Okay. Anything else?
And finally, the language you use. Simple, encouraging language. Instead of focusing on the negative like don't be scared, which kind of puts the idea in their head.
Good point.
Frame it positively. You're going to meet so many new friends. Or you'll learn such cool things. Focus on the adventure.
Those are great, really actionable tips. Now, is this whole emotional roller coaster of the first day, is that a universal thing? Does a kid starting school in, say, Tokyo feel the same way as a kid in Helsinki or one here?
It's fascinating, actually, because the sources note that while the cultural approaches to education can be wildly different, you might have Japan with very formal ceremonies, uniforms, speeches.
Right.
And then contrast that with, say, Finland's famously relaxed, play-based early years system.
Very different vibes.
Totally different. But the core emotional experience, that feeling when they first enter that new environment, it's described as remarkably universal. That mix of nervous anticipation, maybe a little bit of excitement bubbling under, that seems to be shared by kids stepping through school gates pretty much everywhere.
Interesting. So, okay, let's try and wrap this up. What does this all mean? We've done this deep dive, used the sources to look at the first day of school, not just as, a date on the calendar, but as this complex thing, emotional, psychological, biological, linguistic, even cultural. We used Lily in kindergarten as an example, but these ideas, they apply beyond that age too, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. Whether it's starting kindergarten or moving up to middle school or even, frankly, starting university or a new job, that core challenge of adapting to a new place, new rules, new social dynamics, it's always there. And I think the key insight, the really profound thing from digging into this material is understanding those intense emotions, seeing them as normal responses to change, and then, crucially, giving kids the language and the tools to navigate them. That's fundamental. It helps them succeed, not just academically, but in building resilience for life.
Understanding the emotions, giving them language. That's powerful. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the first day of school. We really hope exploring these insights from the sources has given you, our listener, a fresh perspective. And here's a thought to leave you with, kind of building on everything we've just talked about. Think about your own first day of school memories. Maybe it's hazy, maybe it's vivid. That knot in your stomach, maybe feeling shy, or maybe that burst of excitement when you made a friend or figured something out. Knowing what you know now, just from this conversation, about the science and psychology, how might that change how you look back on what you felt back then? Something to ponder.